In this video, we are going to talk about construction of a confidence interval. First step, determine your point estimator. Your point estimator will be the starting point of a construction of a confidence interval. Step 2 will be determine your margin of error. And this can be done in 2 steps. Step 1, determine the critical value. Part of the margin of error consists of a multiple of the standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the point estimate. The number we used as the multiple is determined based on the level of confidence we want in our interval estimates. So the most common level of confidence are 90%, 95%, and 99%. Let me explain the logic of constructing margin of error. Let's say we wanted our interval estimate designed to contain the true population parameter with a probability of 95%. So if we have a sampling distribution that it is normal distributed, then we know the true parameter falls in the center. Then we start with the area under the curve around the true parameter is 0.95. So this shaded area is 0.95. The z-score that set the barrier at the multiple we use. So if we check the normal table, you can find with z equals negative 1.96, the area to the left will equals to 0.025. And so is for the right area. And we know that the normal distribution is symmetric around the mean. Last, the multiple is the number of standard deviation away from the true population parameter we want to follow. So will be calculated. This means it should be calculated as the z critical times standard deviation or standard error and this will be the distance away from the true population parameter. Step 2 of constructing margin of error is about calculate estimate of the standard error. Standard error is the standard deviation of the sampling distribution. This value tells us how much we can expect the statistics to vary from sample to sample. This is format of confidence interval construction. Confidence interval equals points estimate plus or minus margin of error, where margin of error equals to critical value times standard error. The critical value is determined based on level of confidence. Here is an example from a textbook. You can pause this video and read the question. Question 1. Find the point estimate of the population proportion of Germany citizens who find spinning unacceptable, because 900 citizens find it unacceptable, and the sample size is 1,000. So p hat equals to 0.90. Second question, a margin of error at the 95% confidence level of 4.5% was found. Explain what this means. This means that with a probability of 95%, the point estimate of the 0.9 falls within a distance of the 0.045 of the actual proportion of the German citizen who find it unacceptable. Here is another question. A sample mean of 62.2 was found, and a 95% confidence interval was also found. What is the margin of error? So first, we can tell that the x bar, which is the sample mean, is 62.2. And the confidence interval will be calculated as the sample statistics plus or minus the margin of error. So this time we know the interval, but we need the margin of error. So the margin of error will equal to the sample statistic minus the lower bound. So we use the sample statistic 62.2 minus the lower bound, which is 57.3. We can use another way, use the upper bound minus the sample statistic. The results are the same. If a 95% confidence interval for the mean is known to be 40 and 60, what is the point estimate? The point estimate is the middle point of the interval. Step 1, we can find the width of the interval. It is calculated as the upper bound minus the lower bound. Step 2, we can divide the width of the interval in half. The term will be the margin of error. Step 3, we can add the margin of error to the lower limit or lower bound. So the point estimate will equals to 40 times 10 equals 50. That's a way to verify your calculation. You can use the lower bound plus the upper bound and divide by 2. If this ratio equals to what you get in step 3, this indicates your calculation is correct. However, you may want to follow these 3 steps because this is a natural way to construct the confidence interval, and you can get the margin of error in step 2. Using this ratio can only tell you the middle point or the point estimate. You cannot get the margin of error using the ratio here.